Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Spencer TCG here with another limited review guide, Secrets of Power. We are now talking about the blue cards. Just real quick, I'm going to go over my rating list. We got A through F. The majority of your deck is going to be those C cards are playable. They just have to go in. The cards that are good are going to be your B and A cards. B are good, you just always include them. And A are so good that you want to switch into them. They're just going to be game defining, match defining. Those are just the best cards, right? And then finally, D and F, those are your cards that are a little bit too niche. We're going to be looking to cut them. Also, F cards can just be terrible like most upgrades. All right, let's get going, guys, with the video. So next, we have Jabba the Hutt, our blue bad guy leader. He is a deploy on 5 resources, is a 2/8 underworld hut. When another friendly unit is dealt damage and survives, you may have that unit deal that much damage to an enemy unit, and you can only use that ability once per round. And then on his non-unit side, you can pay 1, turn him sideways. A friendly damaged unit deals 1 damage to an enemy unit. If the friendly unit has 3 or more damage on it, it deals 2 damage instead. Great. Let's talk about his leader side first. So he's a 2/8. Obviously, he's pretty tanky, but only having 2 attack means he's very low, aggression. He's not really going to pressure your opponent's life total. If you're, winning the game on base, he's not really going to make the difference there. Also, look at his subtext. Wonderful human being. That's crazy. Anyway, his ability on the leader side is pretty strong. It's a little bit sad that he doesn't trigger it himself, but if your unit takes a value trade somewhere, remember it has to survive, it can deal that much damage that it took somewhere else, and that is pretty good. It really works well with ambush units. It lets you almost 3 for 1 if you want to think about it like that. Like you play your unit, it kills something, and then it survives, right, and deals damage to another thing. So you just killed 2 things and kept your unit. Those plays can be really strong. I know there are some ambush cards out of the row in this game with plot, so that's pretty cool. The sad part is that, it's only once a round. If you're not able to take any value trades, then his ability does nothing. If you don't have any board presence, his ability does nothing. So there are some serious downsides. And then we look at his, non-leader side, and paying 1 to deal a damage is okay, except, there's a restriction on it. You already have to have a unit that's alive, but that, survived a previous combat. While it does have extreme upside, where if you have a pretty damaged unit that's still on the field, you can do 2 damage, which is very good. 1 mana deal 2 on a leader effect is great, but how often is this happening? In a sealed environment, I can see this happening sometimes throughout the game, maybe once or twice. The only problem is I don't know if I want to be dealing 1 damage to a unit. I think I'd rather most of the time be playing on curve. I think this card actually encourages bad gameplay. I can give you some examples. So let's say I attacked my opponent's unit and for some reason neither of us died. I don't know, we're both 2/4. We're both 2/3s. Okay, we're both 2/3s. I guess I could pay 1 mana to now finish off that 2/3. Problem is I'm now not playing my 3/5 or 3/4 for the turn, and if my opponent is, I'm now going to be behind, right? Am I playing another 2/3? Well, now I've just, sure, I've killed my opponent's unit, and I have a 2/1, but now I have a 2/1 and a 2/3, and they have their 3/5, so now my unit is just smaller than their units, and now I would need to use both of my units to trade into it. But if it's a 3/5, then my 2/3s are not killing the 3/5. Do you kind of see that? So then I have to use Jabba's effect again, but I can't because my units aren't damaged unless I still have the 1. Do you guys see? It's really weird, and I'm unsure how often we're going to do it. I actually think I see it happening more in the late game when, you just have damaged units all over the place and you're probably not playing on curve. You're kind of just playing whatever, the biggest thing or, multiple things you have. So I see his effect being a little bit better in the later stages of the game. I think in the early stages, if you just play on curve, I feel like if I'm getting if I want to use a leader effect that costs 1, I want to be buffing my units in a way that puts them on curve. That way, if I draw bad, I can play off curve and still, be impactful. But sometimes that 1 damage is just not going to be enough. And I didn't even talk about the flip side. If your opponent just already has the value trade, then your leader pretty much does nothing. after all is said and done, I think that if you want to be, blue bad guys, and I do think blue is a pretty okay color, as we'll see later. I think if you want to be blue bad guys, he's like okay-ish, but I don't think I'm too excited for him. I'm gonna give him a C minus. I think he's on the low end of playable. I think he actually is really hard to make work. Now I could be wrong. His deploy side is pretty strong, but I feel like you're gonna find situations where it does nothing. You guys are gonna come back and be like, "Man, I played Jabba the Hutt and I deployed him and I just instantly won my game." That could be true, but we'll see. Like I said, if your opponent plays as a leader with good stats, they can just efficiently kill this guy. All right, now we have Lama Su. I talked a lot about Jama, so way too long, guys. So sorry about that. We got a 6 cost deploy, 3/7 official. When this unit completes an attack and survives, you may play an upgrade from your discard pile on a friendly non-vehicle unit, and it costs 1 less. Kind of cool. Some graveyard recursion with a little bit of a discount, and then same on the leader side, unit side. It says play an upgrade from your hand on a friendly non-vehicle unit. It costs 1 less. If you do, deal 1 damage to that unit. You guys know how I feel about upgrades, so this is an automatic F-Reno. I don't think you guys should be playing upgrades in your deck like almost all the time. Like, just don't. You're better off playing units and kill spells and, the occasional upgrade. And if that's, my go-to, then, why would I ever play this leader? It doesn't have good stats, so that's going to be like an F-. Now, if I'm drafting a deck and I want to draft some sort of upgrade deck where I have a lot of upgrades, well, you're going to have a really bad deck, and that's also going to be like an F-, and you just try to have too much fun. Now, if you guys want to have fun, go ahead and play this leader. So, after looking at this leader and looking at Jabba, I guess maybe we're obligated to move him up to like at least a C because the other one is pretty unplayable. So, if you want to be blue bad guys and you need a leader to be the blue bad guys for some reason, I don't know why you would, but if you do, I guess you're obligated to play Jabba way over this card, way over. So maybe that even moves it to a C+. I don't know. Like, that's how bad the other card is. It, like, makes this card look, like, amazing. All right. Let's get into the blue bad guy units. Nice and easy here. We got a 2-mana, 2/4 ground unit, and that's it. It does have the Force and Sith trait, which aren't really relevant in this set. Relevant in Standard, Constructed, but not really in this set. But yeah, this is the exact on-rate body I want to play, and for that, it makes it a playable. But the best playable there is, because, it's a 2/4, so it's going to be a C+. Maybe even a B-. Like, yeah, I mean, if you have 2 drops that have really relevant effects, maybe you played over this, but I'm doubtful. So yeah, this is pretty much, C+, B-, like same thing, right? I think this card, you're just going to play a lot of the time. It probably almost never gets cut, which, yeah, I guess we'll move it to that B- range, okay. Yeah, Force it. But let's go Zam, the Zam Man. Well, it's a woman, but a 2-mana 1/5 Underworld Bounty Hunter. When this unit is upgraded, she gains Grit. Cool. All right. So I got a 1/5 for 2. Not great stats, but 5 health is a lot. And if you upgrade her, she becomes like kind of insane. This is like an upgrade payoff. I mean, obviously it works really well with this leader. So if you're playing Lama Su, you definitely want like, multiple copies of this card to open up right away, equip an upgrade on her, and just start swinging for a million. Yeah, that's one strategy for playing the game. Like I said, guys, I'm not really a big upgrade fan. I don't think this set has great upgrades to begin with. I think if this card was in the last set, she would be like almost a bomb. There were some, obviously she would be like a forest unit, but like there were so many upgrades and there was not a lot of removal in the last set. Now this set has removal and doesn't have as many upgrades, nor are they as good. I think if you need a 2-drop to play, I think that you'll put this in your deck, making it like maybe a C-. It's like the low end of playable because sometimes it's just nice to have a 2-body unit. I also think it works well with both of these leaders in blue back because she's really tanky, so she's going to be surviving, and you could obviously put upgrades on her even though I don't recommend it. Again, you're going to come back to me like, Spencer, I upgraded her and she had Grit and I swung for 5,000 and my opponent cried and has Nightmares still. And you just let me know in the comments if that happens. Come back to this video and be like, I told you. Yeah, but C minus, I'm probably going to try not to play this. Again, in a draft deck where you are making this really bad upgrade thing trying to work, she's going to be like a really good card in your upgrade deck, right? Like if you do make an upgrade deck, she's going to be a really good card in that deck, making her like, you know, a B plus in your upgrade deck. But again, don't build the upgrade deck. Just don't. All right, next up we have Death Trooper is a 3-costed 3/3 Imperial Trooper ground unit. We've seen this guy before. Deal 2 damage to a friendly ground unit and 2 damage to an enemy ground unit. You guys know how I like removal on bodies. I like it a lot. He can do damage to himself, do damage to something else. You know, he has versatility. And yeah, I like him a lot. He's a B minus. I think we're going to play him most of the time. I don't see myself cutting him too much. I mean, even though he has, you know, 1 or 2 worse stats than he should, he does 2 damage. That's really good. Next up, we have Nuke Gunray is a 3-costed 3/4 Separatist official on the ground, escaping justice, and has grit. When played on attack, you may give another friendly official unit Sentinel for this phase. I wish he could give it to himself, but you know, the fact that he has grit means like if I ever take a value trade with him and then next turn I'm able to attack and, you know, give one of my crapper units Sentinel or even a big unit in the later game, that's going to be pretty nasty, right? Like I hit my opponent for, you know, 5 maybe, and then I give a little spy a Sentinel, and now maybe my opponent doesn't have, you know, 2 attacks to go into my new Gunray. So next turn it gets to do another 5, and, you know, that kind of gets crazy really fast. I think this card, you know, it has the stats to already be playable, and then it has this upside of having grit, and then it has this upside of being really annoying by giving things Sentinel, and there are a ton of officials in this set. So I think if you see this card, you're pretty much always going to play him. I think he's a B, maybe even a B+. This is one of the better 3 drops in this color. Next up, we have Kylo Ren's Command Shuttle. It is our first space unit, 4-costed 3/5, First order vehicle transport. Each friendly ground unit with Sentinel gains +2 +0 +2. That'd be crazy the other way. Okay, so it buffs all your, you know, units that are getting in the way of your opponent. How many Sentinel units do you have? I have no idea. This card's a legendary, so you're not going to see it that often. Its stats are decent for space. I mean, I think they're a little bit low. We talked about this in the green review video, how a lot of these green ships actually have 5 attack, and that's really annoying for this unit. But I think if you play this card, I think it's pretty playable just on its stats alone. It's nice having like a space unit every once in a while. And the fact that it buffs your Sentinel units is just like a little icing on the cake. I don't know how many like Sentinels we're actually going to have though, but if your opponent just leaves us alone in space and you do play Sentinels in your deck, that's going to be a GG. So I think it's like, you know, CC minus on terms of stats, and then depending on how many Sentinels in your deck can really raise this card's value. So, you know, are you just doing a sealed pool where you have like 1 or 2 Sentinels? Probably this card is still like a CC+. But now do I have a deck with like 10 Sentinels in it and I have this card in my deck? Well, this card's going to be pretty good, right? It's going to buff all my Sentinels. It's going to be super annoying for my opponent. It's going to move this card up to the B range. So it's going to get a little bit higher of a draft rating if you're able to build around it and you see it early. But it's sealed as just a fine playable. Next up, we have Slime Moore as a 4-costed 2/6 ground unit. Witness to Power. Republic official. When played for this phase, each enemy unit gets -2, -0 while it's attacking a base. While it's attacking a base, key part, and it has plot. First plot card, guys. So if you guys plot, it means when you deploy a leader, you can show this card from your resource row and play it from your resource row. Then it gets replaced. So it's like a free card. It like draws you a card pretty much. All right, let's talk about its stats. It's a little understated. For 4 mana, you should probably be getting like a 4/5, 4/6, 5/4, something like that. So we're a little bit understated. We have a decent win played effect if we're trying to control our opponent in terms of like them hitting our base. I mean, this thing is pretty good against spy tokens, right? Like if they have a bunch of spies, you're like, hey, those things cannot hit my base anymore. But keep in mind, she can still be hit by everything. Obviously, they did give this unit like 6 toughness, so she can, you know, survive a hit or 2 on turn 3. But, you know, I don't know. I think that she's okay. In decks that want to go into the real late game, I kind of like her because then you can deploy your leader and then, you know, summon Slime Moore. And then your opponent is kind of locked out of attacking your base because it's really inefficient for them. So then they want to trade into your board, but you know, you just flipped your big leader. Maybe it was a later deploy. and you're protecting yourself. I like that part of it. I think this card maybe allows you to turn a corner in a more control style deck, so that's something to consider. And I think she's kind of okay on curve. She's just a little understated. But again, if you're in a control style, I think that you probably just want this card in your deck. Probably like a C+, a fine playable. I think if you're not a control style deck, I don't really think you want to play her. Probably like a C-. All right, next up we have Darth Scion. Is a 5-costed 5/5 legendary ground unit. He is the Lord of Pain, if you did not know. And when played, give an experience token to this unit for each enemy unit that was defeated this phase. When defeated, if this unit had 7 or more power, return him to your hand. Okay, cool. I can see myself almost all the time getting at least a 6/6 out of this. I feel like it's not hard to kill one of your opponent's cards on any given turn. Because that's just how this game works. We're playing units every turn, and units kill each other. And so I can see myself reliably playing a 5-mana 6/6, which is pretty cool. I mean, it has the stats. I want to be playing 5-mana 6/6s. That's amazing. A 5-mana 5/5 is fine, but again, like I said, I think you'll get a 6/6. And anytime you're able to make this guy even bigger and take 2 value trades, again, there are a lot of spy tokens around. So anytime you're able to like kill 2 spy tokens and summon this as a 7/7, he's gonna feel pretty broken. Not only do you get a dumb big unit their opponent needs to deal with, but once they do, you can play him again. This is like, king of value right here. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to give this card a solid B. I think you should just always put him in your deck. I could be wrong. That could be too low. It really depends how many people are making spy tokens, but, if we're able to take a bunch of trades and, summon this guy as a 7/7 or like an 8/8 on 5 resources, like you are probably always winning that game. But yeah, a B, just put him in your deck, guys. He is strong. Yeah, all right, next up we have Dogmatic Shock Squad. Is a 6-costed 4/6 Republic Clone Trooper Sentinel with plot. Really like this card, guys. It's a little understated, as we talked about early. I've seen 4-mana 4/6s, but for some reason when they go up to the 5 and 6 cost, they really don't get that much bigger. But this card is Sentinel, and as I said in prior videos, you want Sentinel somewhere in your deck. It's just nice to have. It's just nice to have Sentinel, especially if you're racing. You throw this down, it has 6 defense, and now maybe you can win the race. Maybe your opponent just can't afford to put 2 attacks or more into this guy. And not to mention it has plot, so when you do deploy your leader, if you are a 6 cost or above leader, you're protecting your leader right away with a Sentinel. So I think this card is a nice playable in a regular deck, giving it like a CC+. And I think that if you are a 6-costed leader or above, you should always put this card in your deck because it has plot and will protect your leader, making it a B-B. Next up, we have Cantwell Arrestor Cruiser. It is a 7-costed 6/7 spaceship Imperial vehicle capital ship. When played, you may disclose blue black. If you do, exhaust an enemy unit. That unit cannot ready while this unit is in play. All right, this guy is a little bit understated, but he has a cool effect where you can exhaust your opponent's best unit. And that's a strong effect. And I think, it doesn't have any restrictions, so you can exhaust their leader if you want to. Like I said, it comes out a little late. So if you guys don't know what Disclose does, I can talk about that. You got to show your opponent these cards. And being able to show blue, black in the late game is reasonably fine. I think that if you see this card early enough, you can make sure that you still have those cards in hand. You just definitely want to be some control-y style because, you're playing this on 7 resources and it's only interacting with 1 unit. It's sort of removal for that unit if your opponent can't answer a spaceship, which a lot of the times they actually can't. Unless they have, single target removal. And even then, if they do remove it, that unit is still exhausted for at least that turn. So, you do have some, at the end of the day, you're always exhausting at least a unit playing this card. Yeah, so I think if you are not an aggro deck, I think you should just throw this card in your deck. And I think for that, I'm going to give it a B-. I think I would give it a solid B if you didn't have to disclose. Like, you just always got the tap effect. So yeah, it's just not reliable. Disclose is not reliable. Some games you're just not going to have it. And that makes this card a lot worse. But when you do have it, it's really good. Next up, we have Condemn. It is a 3-costed upgrade that says while attached unit is attacking, it gains on attack. The defending player may disclose blue-black. If they do, this unit gets -6, -0 for this attack and loses all other abilities. Now, -6 in this format is probably going to be pretty much the entire attack bar of a unit. So as long as you guys have a reasonable amount of blue-black in your hand, or you just know you can keep this one blue card in your hand like all game, this card is effectively removal. There are some upgrade hate that's going around, and when this card gets upgrade hated, it's gonna feel really bad, which is why I don't like upgrades. But I think if you are a control deck, you're gonna like this card. I mean, you can throw it on a leader and just say, hey, you have to have the upgrade hate. And if you don't, like, I've kind of just turned off your leader. That's crazy, right? I don't know. That sounds pretty crazy to me. Now, keep in mind, it's only for the attack. So if they're playing like Jabba, they're still going to have his ability. Like, this card is just bad against Jabba the Hutt. But, you know, you could throw it on their strongest unit instead. So a lot of talking. But I think if you want to play this card, it's totally fine. You know, I think because it's an upgrade, I'm going to keep it in the C+ range instead of the like B- for removal, because it's not reliable, right? It has disclose and it can be removed, but for the time being, it does answer a unit on board for you in a little bit of a way, and for that, I think it's a solid playable C+. Next up, we have Creditor's Claim. Another upgrade is a 3-costed upgrade, gives +2/+2. An attached unit gains. When defeated, you may defeat a unit with 3 or less remaining HP. I like that effect on an upgrade. I really do. 3 for +2/+2 is fine. Obviously, you wish it was like +3/+3. But I think it's fine. So let's say I play my 2/4, I equip this, and now I have a 4/6, and you know I'm staring down my opponent's 2/4 and 3/5. Well, you know, those numbers still don't kill my 4/6, which is really nice. And even if they do come up with a way, you know, hopefully I'm able to take out one of their units if they have some damage on them. So yeah, this upgrade is just a fine, playable upgrade because it has additional text. Now, again, it's going to feel really bad when your opponent plays upgrade removal and just kills this. It's going to feel really bad, so just keep an eye out for that. That's why, again, I don't like upgrades, but any upgrade that has, like, again, the plus side of doing something else in case your unit dies is really what I'm looking for. So yeah, this card I think is a solid playable. It's going to give it a C. Next up, we have Emergency Powers is a 1-costed event law. Choose a non-leader unit. You know, it's funny, just gave 2 upgrades like okay ratings, but gave upgrade leader an F. Not changing my mind, guys. Okay? You know, this is a rare and uncommon. Emergency Powers, 1-costed law. Choose a non-leader unit and pay any number of resources. For each resource paid this way, give an experience token to the chosen unit. So you pretty much tap all your resources down and make a unit super big, you know, -1, whatever you paid. You know, cool. How much do I like this? I don't know. I rather just play an on-rate body, but, you know, this card kind of curve fills, I guess. Like, it turns your last card super big. I mean, this card is like pseudo billions of damage. Like in the late game, you're just like, yeah, I'll pay 7 resources +6/+6 on this unit and kill you, right? It's kind of like unexpected damage. I'm a little scared of the 2-for-1, though I will say that the removal spell in this game requires that your opponent hit your base already. So this means at least you got to hit them once. And if you choose to trade with a unit, then they can't, you know, you can play around that removal spell that we'll see soon. Yeah, this one is weird. I don't like pump spells, but this is a very versatile one. I would say that it is pretty awful in the early game and pretty great in the late game because, again, it's any number of resources. So I'm going to give this card a rating on when to play it, all right? If you guys are playing this in like the first 3-4 turns of the game, it's going to be like a D. I think that you rather just play a unit. Right? Now, if you are playing this card in the late game, I think it's like a C, C+, maybe even better, like probably a C+, guys. It's really hard to give these upgrade type effects any higher, but you know, experience tokens are a bunch of upgrades, and they stick around. There's like a buff that sticks around. So yeah, I'll give it a C+. I think it's a playable card in the late game and not a good card in the early game. So I'm gonna rate that card in that way, just so you guys know how I would play it. This card I would not look at as being, a one-costed card. I'd be like, yeah, this card costs 6 or 7. How many other 6 or 7 drops do I have in my deck? Do I have a bunch? Yeah, I do. Okay, yes, this card is a curve filler, but maybe I'll just skip on it. All right, guys, we're getting to the good guys. We have Leia Organa, action, pay 1, disclose, the rainbow, except for the bad guys. And if you do, give an experience token to a unit that doesn't share an aspect with the disclosed card. And on her other side, she is a 4/7 that has the same effect, just on attack. If you attack, you disclose the rainbow and give an experience token to a unit that doesn't share an aspect with the disclosed card. I actually saw a lot of hate on this card online. People comparing it to Snoke and just saying Snoke is way better. All right, so we have the same stat line as Snoke, and as you guys know, Snoke was a strong leader in the last set. And not only was he a strong leader, but he was a strong leader in a pool of pretty decent leaders. I think Legends of the Force had really solid leaders for limited. I think Leia is actually pretty similar to Snoke. I think they both have their own restrictions, right? Snoke was only to your biggest unit, while this one can be to any unit as long as you don't share that aspect. How often you're not going to share that aspect? Have you guys watched my reviews before? You'll see that most times you're getting monocolored cards rather than dual colored cards. So those single colored aspects and the other aspect will be able to buff your guys. I think you'll have one in your hand. I don't think it's that tough to have the opposite one in your hand either way. I really don't. Especially in sealed. Now, in constructed, right, I feel like most of your cards are either good guy or bad guy because they just tend to be stronger that way. But in constructed, that's not the case. As well as draft, where you get to pick monocolored cards more often. I actually think Leia Organa is going to be very solid in sealed. I like paying 1 mana to give experience tokens, if you guys have seen this before, because they just help fill the curve. That means if I drew, not a 3-drop, but 2 2-drops, I've now just turned my 2-drop into a 3-drop effectively. I lose a little bit of initiative, but that's okay. And this guy, she comes out as a 4/7. She can make herself a 5/8 if you just show them, a yellow card, a red card, whatever. So yeah, keep that in mind. It's very similar to Snoke. Again, a little bit more restrictive, but it's just on theme, and she has cool art. I think she's a solid, good card, and I think if you were playing blue good guys, you'll be excited to play Leia. I'm going to give her a B rating. Let me know how you feel about that. Next up, we have Satine Chris. And now when we look at this card and we look at Leia, maybe we should give Leia like an A million, A double triple plus, because this card is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I'll read it to you anyway. She deploys on 5 and has 0 attack and 8 defense with restore 4. Okay, that's garbage. And then heal up to 2 damage from a unit. If you do, deal that much damage to your base. Wow, what a free action. I just get to kill myself to heal my units. And then when I'm, winning because my board is just so good because I've just healed my units a lot, I can play my 0/8. This card is terrible. Absolutely, positively dreadful. I am so glad that it's a rare and not the common, because that would have been really sad. Please rip this card in half if it's ever passed you. That way you're not tempted to play it. And that is the end of the story. All right, next up, we have our units for blue good guys. We have Populist Advisor. Is a 1-costed 1/4 New Republic official. When an enemy unit deals combat damage to your base, this unit gains Sentinel. All right, this card is kind of okay. Again, I like to view 1-drop units as 2-drop units because how often do you get to go double 1-drop? Now, in the Leia deck, I can buff this card right away, making it a 2/5. That's pretty hot. That'd be, one of the best turns you can do, and this is why I like those pump cards. And it has a decent effect. I think your opponent won't really want to trade into this guy because they'll probably take multiple attacks, so he just healed you a bunch. And if they're hitting your base once, well, they're going to have to hit this guy next time anyway. So, he kind of protects you, and in a Leia deck, he's pretty good. This is one of the best turn 1 plays you can do with Leia. So yeah, I think he's a solid playable. We're gonna give him a C, and I think if you're playing Leia, he's gonna go up to like a C plus B minus range because he's just that good with her effect. Next up, we have Cassian Andor, is a 2-costed 2/2 fringe lay low ground unit. While this unit is defending, the attacker gets -2/-0. And if an enemy card ability would deal damage to this unit, prevent 2 of that damage. Now, I wish the -2 just happened all the time. This guy is terrible at taking value trades, but he is good at not getting value traded, question mark. He's sort of like a 2/4, except that my opponent can't do 2 damage to him while attacking, right? Like, they need to have a 4 damage unit. And they're not going to, like, ping it with, like, a Daring Raid. Not that, like, that card exists in this set anyway. But there's a similar one, but I think it does 3, so that wouldn't kill him. Yeah, in red. So how do I evaluate this card? Well, I don't like that he has 2 attack. I think this card is pretty much just going to be a curve filler. If you need a 2-drop, put him in. But he's not really that exciting because, like I said, like, he can't take value trades at all. If your opponent plays a 2/3 or 2/4, like, you literally have to go base, and you're swinging for 2. Like, it's not an exciting amount. Obviously, this card does really good with upgrades. So if you love and you're an upgrade enjoyer, then, Cassian's going to feel really nice for you. I am not an upgrade enjoyer, so Cassian's going to feel whatever. I think he's like a C minus, sort of just a curve filler. If you need that 2-drop, you'll play him. Maybe even a D plus, guys. I'm not excited about this card at all. I'm probably cutting him for most other 2-drops, maybe even Populous Advisor. So, yeah. Next up, we have the Sponsor. It is a 2-costed 2/3 official unit with Restore 2. This card, I feel like, is a lot better than Cassian. Obviously, only has 1 more HP, a lot less text, but hey, Restore 2 is all that I need. That's a big number of Restore on a turn 1 play with reasonable stats. And, you buff this with Leia, and now we have a 3/4 with Restore 2, and we are off to the races. Yeah, this card's playable. C, just put in your deck. You'll probably never cut it, but maybe you will sometimes. Next up, we have a 3-costed 3/5 Populous Champion, New Republic official. And yeah, that's it. He's just a 3/5. He has no text box at all, and he's solid. 3/5 is the stat line. It is an official. It does everything you want it to do. This card is probably a C+, probably even a B-. This is one of those cards that's just going to get drafted around the table for no reason, and you're going to be like, hey, guys, I'm going to take this because I listened to Spencer TCG, and he told me that stats are king, and they are, and now you are that much more likely to win your games. This card's good. Next up, we have Senator Chuchi, is a 3-costed 2/5 Republic official with Restore 1, and on attack, give another friendly official unit Restore 2 for this phase. Okay, like I said, there are a lot of officials in this set, so the odds of you, getting a Restore 3 for the turn are pretty likely. 2/5 means she's living. Again, probably rather have a 3/5, but this card has the upside of restoring your base. And for that, probably a similar rating, decent stats, C+. I think, again, rather just play the 3/5, but if you're a deck that wants to go into the late game, the Restore is going to feel really nice to you. So very similar rating to the Populous Champion, C+, B-. Just a decent statted, cool effect on a unit. Next up, we have Galen Urso that says, you'll never win. Not a great text, unless you're talking about your opponent. It is a 4-costed 3/5 Imperial unit, good guy. Interesting. When played, name a card. While this unit is in play, each non-leader card an opponent owns with that name, including those not in play, lose all abilities and has plot. This card is not made for draft. It is made for constructed. Now, if you are a god at card names and have studied this set a lot and realize that there is only one card that your opponent can play that would really hurt you, then you're in luck. This card is the card for you. Now, it has plot, which means I can play it with my leader. It's a 3/5, which we just saw a 3-mana 3/5. So if I'm playing a 4-mana 3/5, I'm a little bit upset. That's like a C- D+ stat guy right there. And because he has plot, he has a little bit more use, so I guess I'll move him to like a C. And I really don't know if naming a card and you praying that it's the right one works. Maybe it does, but you need a lot of knowledge a lot of knowledge to name a card that's relevant, guys. It's a lot easier in Constructed than it is in Limited. I'm going to keep it at a C rating. I think that plot pushes it up from that C minus because you'll just be able to draw a card and play it for free. Or not free, but play with your leader later. Next up, we have Coronet. Is a 5-costed 4/6 space unit Mandalorian vehicle transport with Restore 1, and each other friendly unit gains Restore 1. Wow. All right, if you guys are racing your opponent, this card is going to make you win the race. It's relevant when you play it because it buffs your board with Restore, and then you know it has Restore itself. It's a very sticky space unit with 6 HP, and it actually hits for 4. So, you know, overall, this card is actually pretty disgusting. Yeah, art's interesting. Looks like Earth and the Sun. Some weird ass looking spaceship. But you know what? This card is solid. I think if you open it, you should just put it in your deck all the time. It's going to be a B. Next up, we have Captain Rex. It's a 6-costed 7/7 Republic Clone Trooper. When played and when he finishes an attack, and give himself Sentinel, and you have to give another unit on your opponent's side of the field Sentinel as well. Now, a 6-costed 7/7 are nice stats. Now, the turn you play it, if you have to give something on your opponent's field a Sentinel that you did not want to trade with, that's pretty much the end of your attacking that turn, so that's pretty bad. And if you want to value trade with this right away, and your opponent still has something else on the board, or you want to go face with this because you're racing, well, it's a little bit hard to do. This card kind of conflicts with itself, though it gives himself Sentinel, and he's a 7/7. And for that, I think that's super strong. I think that if you feel reasonably confident in your abilities to play Star Wars Unlimited, then I think you'll know how to navigate with Captain Rex. And for that, I'm going to give him a B-. He has solid stats, he has Sentinel, and he can re-give himself Sentinel, and you can, you know, kind of do it selectively. On another cool side, I guess, if your opponent already has a unit with Sentinel on the field, you can now give a different unit Sentinel that you rather attack. So I guess that's a positive. Next up, we have Jade Squadron Patrol. It is a 6-costed 6/6 space unit. This card absolutely, positively destroys this card. This is one of the better spaceships I've seen as a common. It having Sentinel is disgusting. If your opponent is playing a space deck with many space units and you play this card against them, they are going to flip the table. That is like, I mean, a 6/6 Sentinel space unit is probably like a B+, guys. Like this card out of the sideboard is disgusting. Now, in your main deck, it's probably like a B-. Like, you're just going to want to include it for the off chance that your opponent plays stuff in space. And also, like, you yourself putting 6 damage in space is not bad at all. So, yeah, overall, this card is a solid B. Put it in your deck every time. It's nice to have Sentinel. You'll thank me later. Next up, we have Vigil. It is a 7-costed 5/9 space unit. Doesn't even kill that 6/6. Securing the future. If damage would be dealt to another friendly unit, prevent 1 of that damage. If damage would be dealt to this unit by another card, deal that much damage +1 instead. This card also has plot. Okay, so pretty much, guys, if your opponent is able to attack into the Vigil, he's going to take 1 extra damage, but he also prevents 1 damage from every other unit on your board. Now, this card taking 1 extra damage, I don't think is that relevant, just because it's so big in space. I don't know. This card makes your spy tokens destroy your opponent's spy tokens. Like, absolutely destroy. I mean, they already one-shot when attacking, but now you don't get one-shot while attacked. That's pretty crazy. It has plot. Now, there aren't many leaders that deploy this late in the game, so I don't know if it's worth to like wait on your deploy. Like if you're Leia, I don't think losing 4 or 5 damage is worth it. So unless you really wanted to get this card out of the row and you thought it was that impactful. So yeah, I don't know how relevant that plot effect is, and his effect is pretty interesting. I don't think 1 damage most of the time matters, but some of the time it's just going to be so annoying for your opponent. Like, you're already sometimes 1 off, and now you're 2 off, and you're doing it on everything, and he's just hard to remove. I think if you open it, you play it in your deck, and you just see what happens, right? Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, it's a good idea. I don't think it's that impactful, though, on play, so just keep that in mind. It's a really expensive card, so you need to have, you know, some board control going on. Maybe you're even with your opponent on life. It only swings for 5, which is not that much on the 7 resource play. Card is hard to evaluate. I'm going to give it a C+. I think it is a playable card. I don't think its effect is impactful enough that I'm always going to want to include this card. I think there could be a better 7 drop out there. Next up, we have Bo-Katan Kryst. She's all alone, a 9-costed 8/8 Mandalorian. When played, give each enemy unit -3/-3 for this phase. And when an enemy unit is defeated, give an experience token to a friendly unit. Cool. If your deck is able to make it to 9 resources, this is the card for you. It's going to wipe out all the little things and then buff your board. Even if it doesn't kill something, it's saving you damage, and she'll probably kill a couple things, and then she just swings for 10, and you win the game, right? So if you're playing this late game control style deck, she's going to be your closer and just automatically win you the game. And she's a rare, so you actually will see her, sometimes. Again, I think if you're a control deck, you're going to throw this in. It's going to feel really good. I think it's a little bit better in sealed than draft. I think draft games, your decks are more efficient. And even if you can make a really control style deck, it's still not, I think if you control them well, then I don't think 9 is your turning point. Right? 9 resources shouldn't be a turning point for a deck. But I think if you are a control style deck, I think it's just like another additional piece to put on top. She has a really strong effect, guys. It is really strong, but she costs 9. 9's crazy. Avenger was crazy, right? But that card costs 9. 9 is a lot. My Avenger got waylaid sometimes. Anyway, so another card that's really hard to evaluate. It's hard to know how fast a format is going to be before seeing it. My 2 cents is this format is going to be pretty fast because there's a lot of token creation and they made units with high HP. So I think we're going to be able to go bam, bam, bam. And I don't think we're going to make it to 9 resources. Especially there's no ramp in this set. For all these reasons, I'm going to keep Bo-Katan in just a solid C range. Really sad. I think that she's playable, but she just costs a lot. And I'm going to cut her sometimes if I don't want to go to the late game. If I don't want to go to the late game, I'm going to cut her all the time. If I want to go to the late game, she's just going to feel fine. Again, she's just hard to play. I got to keep her in hand all game. All right. Next up, we have Diplomatic Immunity. Is a 2-costed upgrade, gives +2/+2. Attached unit gains. When this unit is attacked, you may disclose blue, blue, white, white. If you do, the attacker gets -2, -0 for this attack. That is a hard disclose cost. You need to have not only 2 blue, but 2 good guys in your hand as well. Ideally, they're both just blue-white, but how often does that happen? This upgrade only gives +2/+2 and means I'm not playing a unit on curve. If I'm not playing a unit on curve, I'm really sad. I don't think its effect is even that relevant to begin with because my opponent just played a 3-drop and they're going to outrace me anyway. So, yeah. I mean, on your leader, right, any upgrades on leaders are usually pretty solid, but this is just not something I'm looking to play. Because it does something, I'll give it a D-. Sure, but just don't play upgrades, guys. Next up, we have 1 in a million. Should we even read this card? This card can't be played from your hand. It costs 1. Can't be played from your hand, but it costs 1. Defeat a unit with power and remaining HP, both equal to the number of ready resources you control, and it has plot. So if we're playing Leia and we want to cast 1 in a million, we can do, we can kill a 5/5 exactly. This is one of those cards that I feel like maybe you just put it in your deck, and if you go to flip and you can kill something, it lines up, you're like, holy moly. This can kill leaders. I don't know how often the attacks and the HPs are going to line up with each other. I'm trying to imagine. So, let's say my opponent flips a 4/6 and I attack it with, my 2-drop, and now I flip my Leia, and I guess it'll be on the following turn, right? I flip my Leia on the following turn, and I won a million. It's a 4/4, though. You see, so I guess I have to flip my 5-drop leader, and then I can just do 4. Maybe it lines up more with, the curve of the leader you're playing. I think, personally, I would just throw this in my deck. You're always going to resource it. As long as your deck has enough playables, you could probably get away with just throwing this in your deck. You just always resource it, and then when you go to flip your leader, you think, hey, can I make this card work? Yeah. That's how I'm gonna do it. And because I have like that mindset, I'm just gonna give it a C. It's playable because you just throw it down, but it becomes very unplayable the more bad cards you have, right? Like the more D's that exist in your deck, the less you want another card that you can't play. Because again, guys, you just like can't play this card. It's also a terrible top deck. I mean, C is maybe the most generous rating I've ever given such a bad card. But I'm like excited to play this because 1 in a million games, you are just going to instantly win if you cast this for 1 mana. It's like Force Throw, right? All right, next up, we got Exiled from the Forest, a 1-costed upgrade. Now, because this is double blue, we're going to pretend this card costs 3 because we ain't playing double blue. And attached unit loses the Force trait and gains Grit. Cool. +0/+0. If there was a letter lower than F, I would give it to this card. Next up, we have Donnie Pilgrim is a 1-costed 1/3 ground fringe unit. When played, when defeated, heal 1 damage from your base. Pretty irrelevant effect, pretty bad stats. If I don't have any 2-drops, I'll put this in my deck. But if I have literally any other 2-drops, like a playable amount, I'm never going to play this. It's like a D-. It's like on the lowest end of a cuttable card. Next up, we have Escape Pod, which, great, is a 1-mana 0/3 space unit. When played, you may have this unit capture a friendly non-vehicle, non-leader unit. I don't see much use for this in Constructed, besides like maybe healing your unit and then somehow killing your Escape Pod. I don't know how that happens. Don't play this card, F. Next up, we have Labat. It is a 2-costed 0/4 Fringe Sentinel Grit ground unit. Cloud City Coordinator. This card's kind of cool. I think, your opponent's turn 1 and turn 2 plays usually don't have 4 attack, which means if they must swing into this first, and as soon as it gets swung into, let's say it gets swung into by a 2/4, now you have a 2/2 Sentinel Grit. Cool, they swing it with their 3 attack. Now you have a, 3/1 Sentinel Grit. Yeah, I don't know. In games where you want to go into the late game, he's pretty cool. I think in a Leia deck, he's pretty good because he only has, 1 aspect, which helps a lot with their ability. And, you can pump this guy over and over and over again. I like that it has Sentinel, but at the end of the day, like, it's a curve filler. It has Sentinel. I think it's like a C. It's like playable. He's not like my ideal turn 1 though. Like I'm looking to play my 2/3s, 2/4s. I'm not looking to play something with 0 attack. But it's interesting, and again, I think you guys want Sentinels in your deck because at the end of the day, it's like heal 4 or, send something into this instead of something else. Next up, we have Lost Jedi, a 2-costed 1/3 grit unit. Another example of a card I don't really want to play. Now, let's say my opponent plays a 2/3. For me to get any value out of this, I must swing into my opponent's 2/3 to then buff this up to 3 attack. And then now I have a 3 attack guy, so I guess now I can swing into base. And in that same scenario, my opponent got to swing with their 2/3 into my base, and then they could have value traded this. So we would have just both lost the unit, but my opponent would get 2 more damage. And that's like best case scenario for this guy, right? Obviously, these grit cards do better with upgrades, but I'm not trying to play upgrades. Does really good with the Nala Say. I forgot her name. One of those people. The Nala Say leader, because it deals damage to him and he gets an upgrade. So, he's like double dipping on how good he is. But yeah, I'm not really looking to play Lost Jedi. I think I'm going to give him a D. A little bit better than the healing one, but I'm going to cut this guy most of the time. Next up, we have Senate Warden is a 2-costed 2/2 Republic Trooper ground unit. When defeated, you may disclose blue from your hand. If you do, you give an experience token to a unit. I'm not looking to play 2-mana 2/2s. I think he'll give an experience token most of the time, but when you don't have the initiative, this guy is just dead and does nothing. And that's going to feel real bad. So just like the last card, I'm going to give it a D. I think we're going to cut this card almost all the time, but if I needed a 2-drop, I guess I literally have to play this. Next up, we have Defense Fleet X-Wing is a 3-costed 1/4 space unit with Sentinel. This card has pretty bad stats. I almost never want to play it on 3 resources unless my opponent is like this weird space aggro deck and I'm trying to defend myself. I think this card is probably like a D+, only because of the Sentinel in the main board. But in the sideboard, it's probably like a C if my opponent plays a bunch of Sentinel units and I'm trying to stop, a bunch of space units and I'm trying to stop them. Next up, we have Wilro Hood. It is a 3-costed 2/5 fringe unit, and he's on the run. While this unit has exactly one friendly upgrade on it, that upgrade can't be defeated or returned to the hand by enemy card abilities. So this guy has no text box, and he's a 3-mana 2/5. I wish he was a 3/5. So he's like a D+. I'm probably going to be playing, my other 3 drops over him. But if I just need another 3-drop, I guess he'll slot in just fine. Next up, we have Bardotan Ornithopter. It is a 4-costed 3/4 space unit, fringe vehicle transport. This card is understated, so hopefully they gave it a good effect. When played, you can show your opponent a blue card to draw a card. That is not worth the understats, so I don't really like this card at all. I'm going to give it a D+. I'm going to be cutting this card when I can and be playing a different 4-drop. Now, if I'm in need of 4-drops or I just really want a space unit in my deck, I guess he'll slot in just fine. Next up, we have Rotunda Senate Guards. It is a 4-costed 4/5. While this unit is undamaged, it gains Sentinel. I think it's a lot better than when this unit is damaged because that means it comes out and it has Sentinel right away. Now, this is a 4-mana 4/5, so we have the Wampa stats. 4-mana 4/5s are Cs by definition in my book. They're the definition of playable. And this card comes out with Sentinel sometimes, which is kind of gross. I think it's going to go push up all the way to a B-. I like that. I like that it has Sentinel. I like that it's a 4/5. I think it's one of the most relevant keywords that you can give this thing. And yeah, solid card. I mean, what's your opponent do? Lose a value trade into it so that they no longer have to attack into it? That sounds like the best thing I've ever heard. All right, next up I have Congress of Malistar. It is a 5-costed 5/5 Republic official ground unit. The first upgrade you play each phase costs 1 less. Now with that leader, I can make my upgrades cost 2 less. 2, free. That's free. 2. Anyway, this card's a 5-mana 5/5. So if you guys need a 5-drop, I guess play this. I think it's on the lower end, probably like a C- of on the playable. I think 5-mana 5/5s are fine. But you obviously want them to be better. Like we saw that other card, the Legendary, earlier, that become like a 6/6, a 7/7. And I really do think there's a big difference between a 5/5 and a 6/6 in this game just because of leader stats, and especially a 7/7. Like these breakpoints are huge for one-shotting leaders. I don't think his effect is irrelevant at all. Yeah, C-. Play him if you have to. He's on the verge of getting cut by better things. Next up, we have Nala Se, is a 5-costed 4/7 chief medical scientist Kaminoan, not saying that right, unit. On attack, you may disclose double blue. If you do, heal up to 4 damage from among other units. I'm going to evaluate her just on her stats probably. How often are we doing double blue? Maybe sometimes. Let's just say half the time. And how often do I want to heal 4 damage from other units? I don't know, like 25% of the time. These are just some random numbers. But I have a 4/7, which, is a little bit better than a 5/5, I think. You have 1 less attack, but 2 more defense. I think she's really sticky, and a sticky unit that sometimes heals your other units adds a lot of friction to the board. She's a 5-drop that I want to play, and a lot more than a 5/5. I'm going to give it a B-. Has an effect that's relevant and does something. All right, we have a 6-mana 3/7 Republic official with Restore 3. Now, Restore 3 is a lot of Restore. I don't know if you guys have ever played Luke Skywalker and you started swinging with it. You're like, wow, healing 3 on attack is broken. And it is. This card is incredibly understated. It's not something I'm looking to play on 6 resources. Obviously, the Restore 3, it's like if I was just racing my opponent and we ignored all units, it's like this thing had 6 attack because I'm restoring 3. But a 6/7 I think would just be a lot better. 6 anyway. I should definitely not do that on YouTube. My students, they've corrupted my mind. So anyway, back to it. This card is just whatever. I think I'm gonna give it a C-. I think sometimes I'll play it, but I don't think I'm looking forward to playing this. I'd rather just play something that has more attack. Next up, we have Umbaran Mobile Cannon. Is a 6-costed 7/3 Fringe Vehicle Walker. The first time this unit would take damage each phase, prevent that damage. All right, this guy does have a really good effect because not only does it need to get attacked by something, but then my opponent needs to have something else with 3 attack to kill it. And, the scenario where they have 2 small things and at least one of them has at least 3 attack isn't that big, especially since there's a bunch of spies running around. So my opponent has to trade something real into it, and it will die back because my guy has 7 attack. And now, because it's so annoying where my opponent has to trade multiple things into it, I probably get to swing 7 to my opponent's face with this. This card's disgusting. I really like it. I think it has a really strong effect. I think it's going to help you just close out a game. And I'm going to put this card in my deck most of the time. Going to give it a B minus, or at least a B. This card's good. Don't sleep on the cannon. Next up, we have Lando Calrissian. Trust him. He is a 7-costed 6/8 grit unit. When played, you may choose an enemy unit and another friendly non-leader unit. If you do, heal 6 damage from your base, and the enemy captures the friendly unit. Now, in games where you have like really crappy units, or your opponent's unit is so low that you can just immediately value trade with it, that's really good. Like, you're not really getting any downside, and you're just healing 6 from your base, which is impactful. Now, it's just a 6/8 with grit, but your opponent really can't trade into this card because it has 8 defense, and then you just start hitting them for 6. I think if your deck wants to go late, this card can maybe help you turn the corner just because he's so big and you're healing 6. Now, again, the problem is you do have to give up that unit. Now, again, if you just don't want to do that effect, you can just play a 6/8, which is I like that versatility with grit. So if you guys are on an even board state and you just drop this down, like, you're going to feel pretty good. I think he's a solid playable. He's a legendary. Not going to see him that often. I think we're going to give him a C+. I like the cannon more than this. Like, if I just had a bunch of cannons in my deck, I'd just probably play that over Lando Calrissian. All right, next up we have Nimble Prowess. Attached to a friendly unit. When played, you may exhaust a unit in attached unit's arena. This is a 1-costed upgrade. Forgot to say that gives +1/+1. All right, when I see this card, I don't want to think about it as an upgrade. I want to think about how good is it to pay 1 mana to rest my opponent's card. I think that's actually pretty good. I think it's pretty good to rest your opponent's card because it's anything. And now I get a +1/+1 forever on my unit. That's pretty good. This is one of the best cards for that upgrade girl because you can make this card cost free. So for free, you can attach an upgrade that, I guess offers you 1 attack because you got to take 1 damage to play it, but you're tapping something. I think this card can help you win a race, and it's super unexpected, and it only costs 1 resource. So I think you kind of just want this card in your deck. I don't think it's like amazing, but I think it's card just playable. It's a good definition of playable. We're gonna give it a C. Look at me. This is the most C's I've ever given upgrades in my life. Next up, we have Armor of Fortune. Is a 2-costed upgrade that gives +0/+3, but it has plot. You really don't want to be playing this card, even though it says plot. This card could be like plot, 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 and like draw you 3 cards, and drawing 3 cards would be pretty good. But yeah, I don't like this card. I don't like that it doesn't offer any attack. Yeah, buffing your leader when you play it is pretty cool and all, but I'm not really excited for this card. Defense lets you do a lot of value trades. Let's talk about it outside of plot. Outside of plot, this card is an F. Don't ever play it. With plot, it's like a D. These plot cards are interesting, right, guys? Because they don't come from your hand. They're free. If you just happen to have 2 resources lying around, you didn't use a card from hand, and you didn't even use an action. It's just like, hey, my leader came out a little bit bigger because the hand I drew was slightly inefficient. Is that an exciting card to play? No, I want to be playing efficient hands, the efficient costs, efficient curves, and I want to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then win the game. But yeah, D with plot, F from hand. Disciples Devotion is a 3-costed upgrade, +1/+3. While attached unit is exhausted, it gains Sentinel. Again, I don't really like upgrades, but I like that this one offers Sentinel. Man, they're making the upgrades a lot better than they used to. I'll tell you what. But yeah, I'm just going to give it a D. The Sentinel is conditional. The upgrade really doesn't give that much. I personally would cut this card most of the time. I'm not going to give it an F because I don't think it's atrocious. It does impact the board a little bit, but again, I'm trying to cut this card. I'm not trying to play it. I'm looking for better 3-drops. Next up, we have Scour the Archives. It is a 1-costed event. Search the top 8 cards of your deck for, what's that called? An upgrade? Reveal it and draw it. This card could look for 5 upgrades. If this card, again, this is just for limited, said search the top 8 cards of your deck and put all upgrades in your hand, I would still think this card is an F. Next up, we have the Eye of Aldani. It is a 1-costed event. Trick. At the start of your... 1-costed trick is interesting, guys. At the start of your next action phase, for each enemy unit its controller must pay 1 or exhaust that unit. Now, I haven't heard many people talk about this in Constructed, but this card is hella crazy, right? It says the next action phase, the next one. You are impacting your opponent's mana on the following turn. That's disgusting. Obviously, you have to put yourself off curve to do it, but in Constructed... Anyway, I don't want to talk about Constructed here. We're talking about Limited. How's this card in Limited? Terrible. Absolutely dreadful. I don't want to take myself off the curve. Now, if I have to take myself off the curve, now how good is it to take my opponent off the curve later? I don't know. Like, what am I stopping them from doing? I don't know what's in my opponent's hand. They probably have something that costs less anyway because, you know, it's not like I'm playing against Han1 green and I did this, you know, the turn before they flip, so now they can't play their 7 cost unless, you know, they want all their units to stay tapped. So, right? And if your opponent really wanted to play their card, they'll just tap their unit. Like, that's not a big deal. You know, maybe you sideboard this card against, like, super go-wide strategies, and you're a little bit more control-y. That way, like, if they are playing, like, a ton of units, like they just have a bunch of spy population, you can be like, hey, I'll play this card, and just totally either shut down your turn. Yeah, I guess in either way, right? Like, if they have 4 dudes... Like, they're either paying a lot of resources or they're not attacking with any of them. That's pretty ideal. So out of the sideboard, I can see this card going all the way up to like a C+. It's sort of like a bombing run situation where like I can kind of delay my opponent's turn for only 1 resource. You know, in these like race type situations. And I like that. But like out of the main deck, like, I just wouldn't main it. Like, don't main this card, guys. Slot it in your sideboard and see when it would help you the most. Next up, we have Relief Request. It is a 2-costed event, law. Heal 3 damage from a unit. And if you disclose a blue card, heal another 3 damage from another unit. Wow. Heal 6? Man, they got to make these heal cards cheaper. Like, they really do. Or, like, say, draw a card on them or something. Yeah, don't play heal cards, guys. They're really bad. F. All right. We have Knowledge and Defense, a 3-costed event. Learned, give a unit -2/-2 for this phase, and then draw a card. Sick. I like removal. I like that it replaces itself. Obviously, it's not going to kill everything, but it can finish off a unit. You can do it on a unit first, and then value trade into it because it doesn't hit back as hard. Yeah, it's like pretty good to do on your leader's deploy, right? Make their 4/6 a 2/4, and then kill him with your 4-attack dude. That's a solid play, especially since it says draw card. I think I'm going to give this card a B. I think if you're playing blue, you want some removal in some way, and that is this card. Next up, we have Charge with Murder. You may disclose blue. If you do, defeat a damaged non-leader unit. All right, here's one of the removal pieces that blue has. Sadly, it makes you disclose double blue, but I'm still going to give it a B rating because I like cards that kill things. Now, because it says damaged unit, I'm going to give it a B-. All right, so this card is very restricted in 2 ways where you need to have certain cards in your hand and the unit needs to be, you know, specifically damaged, but you just want removal cards in your deck because it's nice to remove stuff with cards from hand. Especially when your opponent has better cards than you. Like, don't forget that. Like, if your opponent is playing units that are better than yours, but you have removal, you kind of make up for it. Next up, we have Retaliation. Probably like one of the best removal spells in the set. It says defeat a unit that dealt damage to a base this phase. This is where like the real skill checks are going to come in. Like, yes, maybe going base is better, but my opponent has 5 resources up, so maybe I should just take that value trade so they can't play Retaliation this turn, hit base next turn, and then make them play Retaliation for 1 more mana pretty much because, you know, 5 and 6 are the same thing because how are they going to play a 1-costed card? They're probably not, right? Unless, you know, they use a 1-cost. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. You're ruining their 6-cost turn instead of their 5-cost turn. So I think you can play around this card. So just keep in mind that you can. But this is a card that you can even play like off aspect, like 7 resources to kill something that dealt damage. Like you want removal in your deck. Yeah, so this card's like, again, a B, B-. It's just, you just want removal in your deck. It does have a restriction, sadly, but hey. Next up, we have Hyperspace Disaster. Defeat all space units. This card is, I don't know, unknown, question mark rating in the main deck. But out of the sideboard, yeah. Like, if you see them playing space units, especially some bigger ones that you can't answer, now you can. One-sided board wipe, as long as you don't have the space units, right? Yeah, so in the sideboard, this card can feel like, I don't know, I'm probably gonna give it like an A minus out of the sideboard. Like the card's disgusting, right? But you know, it's a whatever in the main deck because you're just kind of gambling that your opponent has space units. So if you have some secret knowledge, some secrets of power knowledge that your opponent doesn't have, then sure you can main it. But I would personally just put it in my sideboard and use it when relevant. And that is it, guys. That's the last card. If you enjoyed watching my video, let me know. Leave a comment below. If you made it this far, be like, Spencer, I stayed to the end. I like seeing that. But yeah, make the pose. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, deuce.